it's totally up to you guys, but do you wanna, do anything with the AP poll, or are we just gonna stick to NBA basketball?
Oh, I don't know. I think we're gonna have plenty on our plate with just NBA, but if we have time to spare at
I
the
agree.
end, we can definitely take a
Word,
look at
word.
I don't know if I could speak to anybody other than Maryland, to be honest.
That's fair.
it. But we might need it. We should probably. We'll talk about that later. Let's. We're live. I'm gonna put that we're live
Oh yeah,
online,
I'll post.
and then.
How are we structuring this?
I was thinking. So Barton also did. He did awards too. So I was thinking we do Eastern Conference, Western Conference, and then we'll just react to Aaron's rewards.
Just going like team by team.
Yeah, I was thinking from 15 up. We just start. We just
Right.
we rattle off the bottom ones as quick as we can, and then dive in depth to the ones that we disagree with.
We each have a list of 1 through 15, right? On both sides.
That's what I have. Chris, you got that
Word.
right.
Hmm.
All right. Good. I'm glad we solved that 2 minutes before I press record.
It's live on YouTube, right?
Yeah, we're live on YouTube and Twitch. If any of your friends like Twitch, there. We normally get a Twitch listener.
A.
Yeah, like they'll just be there's normally a Twitch guy in the chat, but he doesn't really say much ever. All right, I'm ready to get this started. You guys ready?
Let's tap in.
Yep.
All right, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot, but I'm excited. Let's get started in 3, 2, and 1. Hello and welcome to the Wise Guys podcast. I'm your host Brady Fitzgerald, joined as always by my co-host Chris Hagan.
How you guys doing?
Doing great, Chris. I had a good week for the Wise picks. You had an okay week. But we'll discuss that on a later date.
Not 0-3.
Yeah, not 0-3. That's all that matters. We'll discuss that on a later date. If you're watching on YouTube, if you read the description, you'll see we have basketball expert, NBA analysis, future broadcaster, calling the finals in the future, Aaron Barton. Aaron, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I don't know if I'll be able to live up to all that, but I'll see where life takes me. I appreciate the flowers though, Brady.
Of course, of course. We have Aaron here. You know what that means. We're doing our NBA preview. We're doing East West from bottom to top. We're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna start with the bottom of the East. I might have a surprising team to most. It's not one of the three that you're thinking of, but I want to see what you guys have first. Number 15 on the East. Chris, who you got?
I've got the hometown boys.
Oh, you got the
I've got
dogs.
the Wiz at 15.
All right.
I mean, I was just telling you guys before we hit record that every Wizards headline I've seen has said that they might just be worse than they were last year. And if it wasn't for the team in Detroit, they would have been the worst team in the NBA by a pretty sizable margin last year. So I think there's not a lot of room to grow from last year. Like, they had one encouraging piece in Bilal Coulibaly. They are going to focus this year on getting Alex Sarr and Bub minutes, I think. And then you just got like Kuzma and Poole leading the charge again. So not a lot of excitement this year. I think they have multiple years ahead.
I completely agree with that. Aaron, what's your 15 team? Unless you want to take a stab at the Wizards.
I agree with a good amount of your analysis there, but I'll save my Wizards thoughts for where I have the Wizards. My 15 is Brooklyn. I think that there's really nothing that you can say about Brooklyn that is a bright spot. Um, Cam Thomas is bright spot in a sense, maybe. And I also I wrote down my ceilings and floors for these teams as well. I put Brooklyn's ceiling as a 12 seed because and in my opinion that's if Cam Thomas shows that he actually has a chance at being a rising star and not just a young kid that can get buckets on a bad team and is questionable defensively. And I actually would like to apply a piece of your Wizards analysis to the Nets and say they shipped away their biggest piece. And while it may not be their one piece, like I get it. I mean, you have Cam Tom or you have Cam the other Cam.
Johnson.
You have Cam Thomas too, and you have Claxton who you just extended, and he's still young and he's very good defensively, very efficient defensively. So I like that, but that's I mean, if those guys pan out and overperform, then maybe they could be a 12 seed, maybe. But I think the more likely option is them getting rid of everybody except maybe Claxton. But maybe even Claxton, who knows, for the right buyer. But I have the Nets at last.
So those are the two key ones that people normally point out. I had the Raptors. I think the Raptors are absolutely trash. Um, I don't believe in Scotty Barnes. I don't believe in RJ Barrett really. I know they played a little bit better at the end of last season. I just don't know where they're going with this team. Um, it just seems like it kind of seems like a mess that they're gonna kind of blow up in the middle of the season. That's where I went on this one. But I had the Wizards at 14 and the Nets at 13. So we can talk about those real quick. The Wizards, Chris, I think you're giving your Wizards a little less credit than you deserve. You have some vets on the team. You have um you have Kuzma coming up again.
Oh,
Uh you got Valanciunas for some reason as a free agent. You have Malcolm
oh,
Brogdon. So you have some adults in the room to nurture um to nurture some of these
I
young
had Brooklyn
players.
easy.
Oh, you're lagging a little bit. What'd you say?
I said that I forgot that we even had Brogdon until like probably 4 days ago.
Yeah, Brogdon. I mean, there's some guys on there that can set a culture at least. And don't forget about Tristan Vucevic when you're talking about the young guys. Uh,
That's true. Yeah,
that guy
I
that
was
guy
big on Vooch.
yeah, future Jokic coming to the Wizards. Um, the Wizards will be there will be a tough watch though. It'll be fun to see what their rookies do. It'll be fun to see and that's really all you're gonna be watching here. See what the rookies can do.
Sar is the big piece that like
Oh, Barton, is he cutting out for you too, or can you hear
Yeah,
him?
bring that mic a little closer, Chris, and run
Yeah,
that
you keep
back.
cutting out.
sorry, I gotta stop looking stuff up.
You're good.
I'll go back to
But
I'll
say
go
what,
back to my
but what were you saying? You said you had a good point coming, and then you just cut off immediately.
Yeah, and then it just like cut off.
Oh, well, I was saying that Sar is gonna be like the biggest
There you go. Yeah.
point of intrigue this year because he's such a boomer bust guy, like especially offensively. He
Yeah,
could
and
look
like I like
totally outmatched or like I don't know, he could show some big promise and he's only what 18, 19 years old.
yeah, and there's a new coach here. I like Kispert. I think Kispert's a good NBA player. There's some players on this team that could be intriguing by the end of the season.
To
I
be shipped off to
think
other teams.
Yeah, until they ship him off to Portland by the end of the year.
I think so I had Washington 14 and my reasoning for that was that where I do disagree with Chris in that I think that where the team varies from that take a little bit is that you essentially do have the same team, but you just added Brogdon, you added Jonas, and along with that you brought in these young kids in Carrington, in SAR, who a lot of the time, and this is across sports too, not just basketball, these young guys that are going to develop to be really good, they don't need a vet that's a superstar to look to. They just need a vet that's been productive in that position for a long time in the league to look at routines, to look at these things. So I think that if you're going to start Valanciunas, but give Sar a lot of minutes by the end of the season, maybe, you know, hopefully it's not by injury, but I could see Sar, developing into a guy that kind of takes Jonas's spot
Hmm.
one way or another. And I think best case scenario, I put the Wizards at an 11 seed, and I think that that would be an inspiring 11 seed. I think it would be
I
like
would
a,
gladly
you
take that.
know,
Yeah,
right. And I think it would be an 11 seed that's like, this team, they will not be good they're not that good this season. They'll beat some good teams this season, but they're not that good this season. But with this same core, they could be pretty solid in a few years. Like, I feel like watching them could give you that impression. Or there is also the chance that I have their floor at 15 because there's also just the chance that Sar sucks. Carl does not, I said Carl, my dog Bub doesn't get the job done. And like everybody is just like it's like a last year's Trailblazers by the eye test. Like it's abominable to watch. That's also an option. But I do just see a world where the Wizards could be at least a fun, like, optimistic bad team.
it would take fun. I
Before
would
we
gladly
move,
take fun.
before we move on from the Wizards, finally, I think we need to talk about the thing that makes them fun or very erratic and annoying to watch is going to be Jordan Poole. If Jordan Poole is
Point pool.
erratic, and yeah, point Poole, if he's erratic and all over the place, this team's going to be a mess. The rookies aren't going to be able to get into that rhythm that Aaron was talking about, and there won't be a cohesiveness throughout the unit. So big Jordan Poole year. I know he's already got his pay. He already got his money, but he needs to play right this year.
Jordan Poole is my Kyle Pitts. Like, and how everyone talks about Kyle Pitts in fantasy, that like we just keep doing it every year where
Yeah.
we draft him and we expect different things. That's Jordan Poole
Yeah.
for Wizards fans in general, I think. And
Yeah.
even though it's only the second year,
Because it's like there's
I
so
don't
many.
know. Maybe it'll be different.
Exactly, because it's like
Like,
there's
maybe he like if he plays erratic, like, he will. Like,
yeah,
that's just who he is.
that's true. That's true. You can always hope for the best though. Let's go 13. I had the Nets. We already talked about. Um,
But you know who Jordan Poole could be like, though?
no, who was that?
What if they play him the right way, and similarly to Golden State, he becomes almost a Jordan Clarkson kind of guy, to where he's just your spark plug. He is the bucket for 20 minutes a game. Like for
That's what
20
we
minutes a
hoped
game,
last year, right?
it is, but
He was
but
supposed
not
to carry the
but
offense
that
last
wasn't
year.
when he was at his best though. When he was in best was in Golden State where he had guys there that were the guys, but for 20 minutes a game, he was the bucket. And then Steph
Right.
got hurt, and in the time that Steph was hurt, Jordan Poole stepped up and he became the lead guard, but he still had those guys around him, and he was the guy, and he was good. So I think the problem starts when they start asking too much of Poole. It's not like necessarily his role
Exactly.
being bigger. It's just when they ask, "Hey, can you be the guy? We don't have other guys." Then it's not going to work.
Yeah. Just be Jordan Poole.
Exactly. Be the 20-minute bucket. Be the new age Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I am interested to watch him at the beginning of the year, especially. I think it's a team that's going to grow a lot, and that's all you can ask for.
Chris, who'd you have at 14?
I actually had the Charlotte Hornets at 14,
Oh boy. All
and
right.
Nets at 13.
All right, Aaron. Tell him why he's
All
wrong.
right.
We'll definitely differ on that, but I think even before there was something that I really disagreed with, that Brady mentioned with the Raptors that I wanted to touch on honestly before we went
Yeah.
ahead with 13. Because with 13 I had Detroit. But before I go into Detroit, I really disagreed on the Raptors because I think that the Raptors are this year's jack of all trades team.
Okay.
I think that there's a world where the Raptors could finish as the 6th seed. I think there's also a world where the Raptors could finish as the 13 seed. I had them as the 11 seed. And I guess I'll just go ahead and say that now. I think that when you're giving all things considered, right, you have a Scotty Barnes who you just extended, but you're putting a lot of eggs in his basket,
Oh yeah.
and he was an all-star last season. and you also went out and you polished your team last season, and there was injuries, and Grady Dick went from averaging 19 a game to having a little stretch where he put up around 17 a game, like or not 19-9, but you get the point. I mean, this team is young and fun and exciting and growing, and while the pieces may be questionable, there is a world where these guys can step up and actually become a fun duo. And there is also a world that is most realistic where they're just going to be, you know, um, there's going to be flashes where you're like, maybe this team is going to be great. And then most of the time it's going to be like, they're the Raptors.
Yeah.
So, but I have to, I think that we just had to put credit towards the fact that I think right now, as it stands, I don't think that they're depleted enough talent wise to put them below Chicago, to put them below Detroit. I just don't see that. But
Okay, I can see.
that's why
Yeah,
I
I
have
know what you're
Detroit.
saying.
At 13.
The main thing is I don't like Jakob Pertl. I don't know who else their center is. They don't really have
There.
any center behind him. Their point
I had
guard
Pirtle in
is
fantasy last year, and he was actually good until he got hurt.
he's a double machine. He's really good in fantasy. Um, is Davion Mitchell still on this team, or did he get traded to somewhere else? He's still on this team, right? Yeah, he's on this
I believe he
team.
is. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like they don't have a clear point guard that I like, and they don't have like I'm not the biggest Quickly fan. I know Quickly's all right. I know he's good. It just seems like
It's
a
like
lot
a
of
ragtag group
yeah,
almost.
yeah. It's like a lot of
Yeah.
guys, but not a lot of guys that I like. And it's the
Sure.
same. And I guess that would be the
Those
same
guys,
for.
those teams can win games though.
Oh
Like if
yeah,
we're if
They
we're
can.
if we're talking
yeah.
about the difference from like the 10 seed to the 15 seed, like I think, like Aaron, you said it, that even if you're not crazy about the team and they're not a very inspiring team, like they have the talent to at least get them out of the basement. I think I could see a world where they completely collapse though.
I think the most likely option here is that two of the teams, or one of the teams in each of our fives at the bottom here, will make the playoffs, and one of these teams will make the play-in. Maybe, and it could be even crazier than that. But I'm just saying, most realistically, one of these teams is going to jump off, and we're going to be like, yeah, we missed out on that. But we did say that there's a possibility of it. And then one of the teams that are in our playoff race is obviously going to drastically crash because that happens every year. And one of these teams in our play-in spot's probably also going to tank. I mean, just like Chris, you have with the Hornets, later on, like I have them at the eighth spot, and I know I'm jumping around, and I apologize for that,
No, that's
but
totally fine. We got to
it's
run
like
through a lot of teams, so like let's
yeah,
It's
get
like
true.
into
We
they
got a
it.
they
lot of
could
teams.
go they could go to a 5 seed or a 12 seed, like we're saying. I mean, there's so many factors. There's so many factors, but I guess before we finish, um, to get back to the order, I'll explain my Detroit pick. You guys can go for your Detroit picks. I have Detroit at 13 just on a complete talent perspective, and that's really how I did these rankings for where I ranked them. Just for a talent plus in my head projected talent kind of with them, and I have Detroit at 13 just because I feel like there's a good amount that could happen and that's unproven. Once again, another team that's like that. If Cade stays healthy, we've seen he can play at an all-star level. If Duran takes a leap that he could take, that could be really helpful. What happens with Jaden Ivey? Is he a non-factor again, or does he become a decent role player? How do these players respond to JB Bickerstaff? Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to with the Detroit Pistons, and that's at least a plus that we haven't been able to say a lot. And Ron Holland is also a really fun player, and he's NBA ready because he played against NBA talent. So, I mean, it could be a G League curse again, and he could have a rough rookie year, or he could come in and improve that, he played against NBA talent for a year, and he's a very good player. And who knows? So I think that there's a lot. I have their ceiling at an 8 seed, floor. I think at a 14. So that's my Pistons takes.
So since we're on the Pistons, you were talking about the teams that are going to make a jump from this bottom team. I called my shot on the Pistons. I think they're going to be the 10th seed, going to make the play-in. I
Okay.
like the JB Pickerstaff hire. I think that he dealt with a lot of guys in Cleveland and had to deal with playing the certain minutes for the certain guys. Um, and this team is very similar to that. They have a lot of different guys, a lot of young guys that need to have staggered minutes. They won't be able to play on the floor altogether, but they got the right vets to throw in there and play them and have coherent lineups. So you can have a Malik Beasley out there. You can have a Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris. All those guys are better 3-point shooters than anyone that was on the Pistons last year. They might not be your favorite players. They might not be, guys that anyone thinks of for anything special. But we were talking about vets with young guys earlier with the Wizards. These are guys that have had long NBA careers. Tim Hardaway Jr. was just in the NBA Finals. Um, we all know about Tobias Harris. B-Ball Paul's on this team. They just got some vets that I like, and I think JB Bickerstaff is going to be able to use this roster into his full advantage, like he did in Cleveland, with that mess.
Respect. I like it.
I don't hate that. I wanted to put the Pistons higher than I did. And I have them at 12. And I could not bring myself to do it. Like
Mm.
thinking about what the
Yeah.
product has looked like on the floor for I mean for a while now, but especially last year and the couple seasons before that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the veteran presence of like Tobias Harris and Tim Hardaway Jr. that matters to a degree, but again, like these aren't game changing vets that are being brought in. And like Tobias Harris has gotten more hate than him as a basketball player has probably deserved, just because of the situation that he was in, and it's a much better situation for him. But at the same time, like I wouldn't be shocked if they jumped up to 10 or even to 9, but at this point, I didn't feel comfortable putting putting them that high.
Yeah, I get that. I need to see Cade Cunningham take the step up. I want to see
Yeah.
him. I want to see him stay
I
healthy.
feel like
I want to
we're
I was
see
gonna
waiting
say
for
just
that.
needs to be
Don't
consistent.
know if it's ever gonna
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
And the other guy, it's funny, like that. He's the one that I think needs to have the pressure on him. The other guys, like Ron Holland, like Sir Thompson, like the guys they drafted, Marcus Sasser, Jaden Ivey. Those guys, not as much. I'm worried about, but I do need to see a step up from Cade this
You
year.
need to at least see a collective step up from the bench. Like, because
Yeah,
the starters are at least going to be decent for you, but you need to like be able to feel like Pistons games are legitimate basketball games when you watch them. You feel like when last season it just felt like watching a team that was depleted of talent because that's
yeah.
what they were, and the lineups were just throwing together anything that would work pretty
Mhm.
much, and
See,
anything
I
that
don't think that
felt best in
team's
the moment,
that's a
but
team.
it was a clutter.
Sorry to cut you off. I
And
just didn't. I don't think this is that team. I think this is
no, I
They
don't. I
they
agree with you.
definitely are
I think
much
this.
better, but there's also like there's so much room to grow from where they were. Like
yeah,
they were so far at the bottom of the league that like even a improvement of 10 to 15 wins like is still putting them towards the bottom.
yeah. That's true.
Right. I sorry.
No, you're good.
I was just gonna say, I think if you're looking at their starting lineup, like Cade, Ivy, Holland, Tobias Harris, and Duran, and you're gonna say that Cade and Duran play around 65 games or more, like, and we're then this is the good case world, and Holland has himself an all rookie first team season, and Tobias Harris puts up his efficient 15 and 5, and Duran takes his step up and he's putting up 12, 9, and 2 or 3 blocks. Like you have a team that could be where you're putting them at or even higher, Brady. I mean, and but then at that point it really does. It just comes down to who's next. I
Yeah,
mean, it's like, are you going to be able to have a good, consistent bench with those guys that you mentioned, and or that all of us have mentioned that complete the 6 through 11 spots, like accounting for potential injuries, like what are you going to have in Detroit? Do you have enough talent and enough ability to stay in the game? I don't know. Um, I hope so, but I don't know.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Um, where Where are we?
This is 13 team, and this has come together
Yeah.
decently well because now we know some of each other's teams already.
All right, so we're on
It's very
13.
impressive that you were able to bring that back. Luckily
Yeah.
I had the Nets at 13,
I had the Nets at
which we already
13 as
talked
well,
about
13?
which we talked about. And
They're all pretty
a little
similar so
bit.
far.
yeah, we don't need to
Mm,
talk about the Nets anymore. There's nothing else.
And Chris, since you said you put Detroit at 12, Brady, who do you got at
I
12?
got the Hawks. I think the Hawks take a step
Wow.
down. I don't like the Hawks' roster. I just don't see a lot of guys here. Like I don't like the Ricochet pick. Dyson Daniels I liked on the Pelicans. I don't know how he fits on this Hawks team. You need a big step from Jalen Johnson. Clint Capella's still on this team. It doesn't seem like they've wanted him on this team for years. Larry Nance is now in the mix, so another center with Ngakwu as well. I definitely just butchered his name, but DeAndre Hunter hasn't shown anything in the past 3 years since they've drafted him. There's just not a lot of guys I like on this team. And I think it's going to be a lot of Trae Young chucking it. I don't know what to expect from Ricochet. I don't know if you can give us any insight on him. But I just know that he was the number one pick. That's really all I know about him. I don't like this Hawks roster at all. I would love to see where you guys put him and where you guys have him, but I don't like this roster at all.
I have the Hawks at a 10 seed. So not far off, but I have the possibility of them being a 4 seed as something that's there, and I
Okay.
have their floor as a 12 seed.
Tell me
Just that's it.
tell me the 4 seed mindset. Like what has
Actually,
to
no.
happen for the 4 seed?
Actually, no. I have their floor as a 15 seed. So I know that's the biggest range of any team on my list.
Yeah.
So let me break it down. Floor. That's the scenario where Trae Young puts together another statistically MVP level season. He's putting up around 30 and 12. He looks better defensively, and he shoots a lot off the dribble. So you're not going to have to ask him to shoot 40, but he gets the 3-point percentage up to around 37. He's putting up an all NBA second team ish at least level season, and Jalen Johnson continues to get better. And your Big O essentially turns into Clint Capella for that team, serves the same purpose. Ricochet, same story. As long as he can be a capable 3 and D guy as a rookie, the rest of your team is rounded out well enough to where Dyson Daniels can step up and he can guard the other team's best point guard slash scorer that's a guard because Trae Young's a cone. But again, that's why I said if he gets at least marginally better defensively, that would help them a lot. So there's a world where this team, I like that lineup. I don't like their depth, but it's kind of a similar story. I mean, there's a world where this team, I like Quinn Snyder.
Yeah. I think
This
he's a good
team
coach.
could be a solid, fun, exciting team if the pieces around Trae Young can work because that's what happened when they went far. It wasn't like they had multiple good stars. It was like Trae Young was really good, and the rest of his team around him just
Fit with him,
was the
yeah.
perfect team for
Yeah.
Trae Young, so they all just elevated each other, and it worked. But I put the floor as 15 because there's a very legitimate chance both Trae Young and Jalen Johnson get traded, and the Hawks just say, screw it. We're gonna go full in on this tank thing. Maybe Ricochet will be good, but we are actually just preferring Cooper Flag. So there's a chance that they join in on the flagathon.
Love
And
it.
but I had them. I think the tier that I put them at was like I forget what I called it, but it was like teams that have a chance to be solid or blow it up, and that's where I put them because they have a chance to be pretty solid, and they also could blow it up. Who knows?
Yeah. I agree on that metric. Um
Fascinating tier of teams.
say again, Chris.
It's a fascinating tier.
Right? There's
Teams
probably a
like
good amount of teams in there too.
you might be the 4 or 5
Let me
seed,
check.
and you also might be in the lottery, or not the lottery, like the top 4.
Let's oh, I guess anyone at 12 have anything we haven't said yet?
I
At
had
18,
Detroit,
that's good.
so my guys
Okay.
guys are covered so far.
Yeah, Brady, it was just you, and then my team. I think we already talked about him. My team was. Oh no, my team was Chicago.
Okay, Chicago's
Um,
my next team, so we could talk about them right now.
I
word,
also have the
perfect.
Bulls at 11.
Word, perfect. Um, and we've already talked. Toronto's my 11. Chicago, I put most likely at 12, just off of talent alone again. I also have their floor being 15 because there's a realistic chance they trade every vet that's on that team and just say, Matis, have some fun out there. And even like I'm talking even Lonzo, going full in on like younger than 23. Like there's a chance that happens. And then there's also a chance that Lonzo comes back and is at least all right. Matis becomes he's all I can't give a spoiler, but I really like Matis.
I
And
like
there's a
Bucelis.
chance he's the best rookie.
Is he not
And
injured this year?
uh, is he what?
I thought he was injured all year.
No, he's not.
He
He's
doesn't have
not.
a he doesn't have an
I don't believe
ACL
so.
injury.
No, I thought he played a few nights ago.
Maybe he did.
Pretty sure he did. Anyway,
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry to derail
check
you.
up on that, but I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah,
um
he's good.
okay, word. Yeah, I like Montes. I really do. And I think there's a chance that even if all Josh Giddey does is guard the other team's best guard and play make, that's a solid point guard for them. And then likely that turns into Lonzo's role being diminished, which sucks, but there I think most likely they'll be like better than horrible, but not very good.
I kind of like this team. Kind of as a lot as
I
a
was about to say the weakest.
like it has a lot of like I don't like Levine. I think the Levine needs to get out of there. He's getting Vucevic out of there too. Get them both gone, and then you kind of have a fun team to work with here. You got Lonzo, you got Giddy, you got Kobe White. That's a good backcourt to work with. Um, you got Bucelis that we all agree that we like, and I guess you don't really have anyone else at center, but you have the Patrick Williams piece that's there. I don't know what the hell they're gonna do with him. They extended him, but I don't know how he fits in this
They
role.
looking to trade him?
I don't know what they're
Dude, this is
doing. They were
watch
looking to
the
trade
guy.
everybody, and then they just extended everybody. If they can get good
That's how
pieces,
it goes in Chicago
yeah, that is how it goes in Chicago.
consistently.
If they can get Levine out of there and Vucevic out of there and get some solid pieces, this could be a fun team. But I think there's bad vibes on this team coming in already that I don't
Horrible.
like.
They're gonna be
Yeah.
the East Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I could see
I
that.
could see that.
I could see that a
They have
lot.
a player or
We
two where you're
expect
like,
them to.
dang, they're gonna be great. And then they have another player or two where you're like,
Get him off the team.
dang, he could be really good on a contender, but he probably isn't your 1A.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is gonna be like, yeah, this team isn't, in my opinion, isn't gonna be good right away, or isn't gonna make the playoffs
Yeah.
at least, or even play in my opinion.
All right, we gotta run through these a little quick.
My note on the Bulls, I guess, is I think where I have the Bulls is an indictment on the rest of the Eastern Conference because of how much I dislike this team going into the season and how bad the vibes are. For them to still be at 11
Yeah,
is like when you're putting these together, you're like, wow,
I agree.
this is not a good basketball conference.
No, no, it's not.
So
My number 10. I already said the Pistons, so just so we can move on that one.
I have the Hawks
yeah,
at 10.
Hawks
I
are
have the
top.
Hawks at 10. Let's just go to 9.
All right, sweet. 9. I have the Hornets. The Hornets, baby.
Okay.
Let's get him into 9. Let's get him into playing game. Hosting a playing. Actually, would they host? I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah, they would be. They would be.
Maybe
Yeah,
maybe if they
They'd
lost.
host the first
I think they
and
post a
travel for the
9-10
second.
game, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, 9, 10, and 7. Yeah.
All right, so let's have the Hornets hosting a playing game here.
Cool.
Aaron, I know you have. We're probably gonna go 30 minutes here on the Hornets, but let's do it.
No, I won't.
No,
Don't worry about
let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, okay. I was just
I think
saying
this
that
team
I
is.
don't want
I think this team's pretty solid this year. I think if they stay healthy, they have some players that I like.
I have an 8. I have their ceiling at 6. I have their floor at 12. Actually, no. I have their ceiling at 5, floor at 12. Excuse me.
Oh,
And I think I even already mentioned that, so apologies on that.
you're good.
But um, Charles Lee is a defensive-minded head coach. The Hornets have typically struggled most on the defensive end, but Steve Clifford actually coached them to a decently defensively efficient season last year, and the entire season is worth health. And I know that a lot of other people that don't closely really follow every team is going to be like, "Oh yeah, the Hornets are terrible." They're terrible every year because it's one thing or another, and the thing most of the time is just health. And with them, like that's what it is. I mean, if LaMelo has not stayed healthy ever. Their starting center, Mark Williams, has not stayed healthy consistently, and we've been able to depend on B Mill, but it's just and Miles needs to stay out of freaking trouble. So it comes down to that. Can those four guys average 65 games or more? And if they can, it's a team that honestly really could make the playoffs, not just play in, but they haven't been able to prove that yet. So I have the expectations, the breaks being not fully done, but pumped a little bit, and an 8 seed for year one of Charles Lee. I think that they'll make the playoffs in the next 3 years, but who knows if this year will be the one. I think they'll absolutely look a ton better though, especially when they have all four of those guys. My 9 seed, I guess I'll just say it was the Miami Heat. And
Okay.
just because I don't believe in an aging Jimmy Butler's health, Tyler Hero that never plays. I don't think Bam can be a 1A. He played extremely well in the Olympics and played it even in a way that made me think that, or even have to challenge that. I mean, he has a three ball now. That's actually like not bad. Like it looks pretty solid. And there's reasons why the Heat could be a good team. I have them. They're ceiling at 3. Their floor at 12. I think most realistically, they just don't. Once again, they just don't have the talent. And I think it could be another year where they have a crazy run in the play-in and playoffs. It could be, but they just don't have the talent to win that many, to win more games in the regular season than the rest of these teams. I mean, they're just too good. It's just the East is deep, man.
I like that's an interesting take for them. I had them at the 7th seed, so not too far ahead of the 9 seed.
I had them as
Um,
well.
they're just a tough team to take seriously during the regular season. You every year, no matter what they say, you can't trust them during the regular season. You know they're gonna be there in the play-in. They're like playing kings, um, and they're gonna make some noise in the playoffs. I like a lot of their players. I like Kaleli Ware, their rookie center from what was that,
That's from
Indiana?
Indiana.
Yeah. I think he's going to be a monster. I think if they have a healthy Terry Rozier, that should help them a lot. Um, and I don't know. I can trust Jimmy Butler when it comes to the end of the regular season. When it comes for that push to make it to the play-in, that's when I'm going to trust this team, and that's why I have them at the 7th seed.
You still find yourself like nervous when you talk about the Heat because of 2 years ago. Like, do you
Yeah, it
not
is.
want to?
It's
Do
because
you not want to knock them down too low?
no, I think it's got to be part of it. Like this is a team I wouldn't want to see in the playoffs, no matter what their seed is. Uh, and it was the same thing. We talked about it tremendously when the Celtics were playing them last year in the first round. Even when those games were blowouts, I was nervous about the little games, just because they have the best coach in the NBA, and that's something that a lot of teams can't say, and a lot of teams, well, no team could say.
Teams
Yeah,
can't.
but um, no, a lot of teams can't even say that they have a good coach. So I think that
Mhm.
matters a lot. And I'm gonna take the bet on the best coach in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are another team where like you're not really excited about them going into the regular season, and there wasn't much that happened in the off season to make you
Hmm.
change your tune there. But it's that same core that we've seen do it, and we've seen go deep. So they know that all they have to do is get in. So I honestly could see them anywhere from like 7 to 10.
Yeah, agreed. Um, Sneakily like Alec Burks too. Jaime Jaquez year 2, another Tyler Hero year. I think they'll be fine.
There's a lot of room where they could be awesome.
Yeah,
I just don't see the injuries holding up, and I don't see them having as much talent as these other teams, right? Like
Yeah,
for the
if you
full
turn
82 regular
Jimmy
game
Butler's
season.
clock
I
back,
don't. What?
if you turn Jimmy Butler's clock back by like 4 years, like then they're a scary regular season team.
Yeah.
Then I'm putting them at 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
You guys have an 8 because I gave y'all mine.
Yeah. We have eight seed. I have the Magic,
I,
which is kind of low.
oh, okay.
Super low. I know, but look at Barton's face. It's really low. I like the teams ahead of him more. So I suck the Magic
Huge
there.
year coming for Paulo.
I like Paulo. I like the roster
Massive
that
year
they
coming.
put together. I still don't see they have a reliable point guard, and that's really what's doing it for me. I just think that their offense is going to be a little too struggling to for these other East teams. And I really just this was I felt like I really wanted to put the Magic higher. I really wanted to find a way to sneak them up there. But I like these other teams ahead of them more, so that's where the Magic are for me.
I had the Cavs at 8. I thought Brady, you might be
Oh
in on that with me.
no, I'm in on
Purely
the
for the reason
Cavs.
that I'm like sick of this iteration of the Cavs. Like I thought that this was the offseason where they wouldn't blow everything up, but they'd kind of retool um, and move forward with like half of that core,
Hmm.
and it didn't happen.
Yeah,
They lost their head coach. Like I don't. I feel like we've just done it too many times at this point. I think they struggle because of that.
Um, on the Magic, I got them at 5. With their ceiling being a 2 seed and their floor being a 7. So Brady, I guess you have them as a um, pretty much lower than my floor, I guess, if we're doing 8 still.
Possible.
yeah.
And
It's
I
in the
have
basement.
Paulo. What do you say?
They're in the basement banging to get out. Help.
Right. I have my thing is that I think that Paulo could have like an all NBA first team level season very realistically. And I think that that team is only adding and only getting better every single year. And if they finish where they finished last season, I don't see a world where they finish any worse. And I also just I've bought a lot of stock in this team, man, over the last few years. I mean, I think last year they were probably my most watched team on League Pass. I love what the Orlando Magic got going. I don't see them being better than the quote unquote contenders, the four big juggernauts. But I do see I see it as a possibility, and realistically, I'm 5, and I have Cleveland at 6, and I have I have the possibility of Cleveland finishing at the 1 because if you guys remember, they were at the 2 seed in the regular season up until Donovan Mitchell's injuries last year.
Yep.
And JB Bickerstaff became the scapegoat of injuries essentially. I mean,
Yeah,
they
we were
a lot
both
of the
on that on
time
Twitter.
yeah, I mean they were trotting out lineups where Jared Allen was, the objective best player and he has no offensive game. And like obviously he's a great piece, but when you have role players and bench guys around lineups like that, good coaching can only get you so far. And I think so that's a possibility and especially if we see that jump from Evan Mobley that Bill Simmons predicts every single offseason. Um, you know, if it happens this year, the gift that keeps on giving is Evan Mobley, and his potential breakout. I think that's pretty close to a Kyle Pitts story that
Yeah, oh
Chris was
yeah.
referencing earlier. But yeah, that's where I got those teams. So interesting, you guys have that.
Yeah, I thought I the more I think about it, Chris, the more I kind of like your Cleveland take. But I think what did it for me, I have Cleveland at the 4 seed. And what did it for me is I just think during the regular season, no matter there's going to be one of these guys injured, they're going to figure out how they like to play, and I think this is a good regular season team that gets jumbled when it matters the most in the playoffs. And I think that for that reason, I think they're going to stick to being a good normal like a seed, like a good seed, like a 4 seed. Um, and seeing like I could see them if they played the Magic in the playoffs, I could see them losing to the Magic, even though I have them ranked lower. I just think for the regular season, I like Donovan Mitchell. I like this core that they have. New coach bump. Maybe they play a little bit harder. Donovan Mitchell did the whole "I want to stay in Cleveland" narrative, so they're gonna play their butts off, and that's kind of where I'm landing on that one.
With a breath of fresh air, with Kenny Atkinson in the room, who ducked a head coaching position a few years ago. Screw you, Kenny, and now decided he wants back on the head coaching thing again because the Cavs are appealing to him. He wanted them. Who knows if they wanted him, but he wanted them, and they want to win. Regular season, it's going to be fun. Playoffs, it's going to be the same problem as everybody besides the Celtics, New York, and if Joel Embiid and slash or Paul George aren't on a stretcher by then, the Sixers and possibly
I don't hate
Milwaukee if
that.
Dame's been better. What?
Yeah, I don't hate that take that this is going to be a very successful regular season team. And
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if I weighed my rankings appropriately for like regular season versus
Yeah,
playoff success.
yeah,
But I agree with that like I wouldn't be surprised if this team does end up being a 4 or 5 seed. But it's just not a team that I have any expectations for.
yeah. I get that. I get that a lot, and that makes sense for the rankings. 7, I had the
Seven.
Heat.
I had
Sorry,
the Heat at 7 as well.
All right, Aaron, who'd you have at
I have
7?
Indiana.
Ooh, the Pacers all the way at 7.
I do have Indiana at 7. I also have a world where this team could finish at 1. I know these are all over the place, but that's what I got. And I think it exists. I just don't see it as extremely likely. I think that um, I really, the key to all of this, A, is Tyrese Halliburton becoming what he was at the beginning of last season before the Siakam trade. And B, is Benedict Mathurin becoming a third star. And I just don't I need to see those things again to be like, yeah, this is a contender. As of right now, I don't see him. I see him as a team that more than likely just because if we're talking talent wise, they don't have the depth and talent that Cleveland has. They don't have the depth and talent that Orlando has, that Milwaukee has. Like I mean, they could be better than those teams, but just as of right now, I just don't. I would just have to see more than what we've seen so far to put them above 7 right now.
Yeah, I think that's respectable. I have them at the 5 seed, so not too far off, but a little bit higher.
Yeah.
I like their depth a little bit more than you. I think I like Isaiah Jackson. I like Aaron Nesmith. I like that they got. I still have T.J. McConnell coming off the bench. They got Tristan Newton out of the championship UConn team. That should be kind of fun. Nimhard is on the bench now. They still got Obi Toppin and they rookie last year, Jarris Walker, who did nothing. So I think they got a lot of young, intriguing guys, and they have a good starting 5 that made it deep in the playoffs last year. They played a lot and I know that doesn't reflect to next year's regular season, but they really surprised me. I really like that their play style and their attitude, and I just think that they're going to be fun in the regular season. I could see them contending for the NBA Cup yet again, just because they're going to be a high-powered offense that shoots a lot of threes and does the same thing that they did at the beginning of last year. Only hopefully now with a full year of Siakam involved and trying to get him in that running gun. And I think really what did it was watching Miles Turner just bang threes in the playoffs. Him doing that just sent this team to a whole new level for me.
What are y'all's 6 spots?
I got the Bucks. Bucks all the way at 6.
I have the Magic at 6.
Magic at 6. Who do you got, Barton?
I already said Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
I think that's interesting with the Bucks because I see the chance of Dame having a resurgence and then becoming a legitimate contender as a higher chance than almost anything than them imploding. Personally, I have them at 4. But I understand that perspective essentially. I do get it.
What concerns me, the depth concerns me. I do like the Gary Trent. I think that's a very underrated signing. He's a streaky shooter, though. He's gonna have really good games. He's gonna have really bad games. Pat Connaughton's really he's on his last leg as like a go-to guy, or not even a go-to guy, but like a role player, really.
Guy.
DeLon Wright is all right defensively. He's not going to do anything offensively for you. Andre Jackson hopefully will get better as he progresses. They got AJ Johnson in the draft, who will never play. He will not sniff the court. He's like 19 years old, and he averaged like a point a game in college. They just don't have a lot of guys on this team, and all the guys that they're starting are really old. They got Giannis. I mean, Giannis isn't super old, but Dame's really old. Apparently, they haven't had any contact or practices over the summer. I don't know if that actually means anything, but I don't like it. I don't like that that's a quote being said. I don't know. They have Bobby Portis. They got Brooke Lopez on his last legs. They got Teron Prince, who you already know he's going to be playing so many minutes that nobody wants him to be playing. Chris Middleton's on his last legs. There's not a lot of guys on this team that I like. And if they get injured, especially a Giannis injury, this team is going to be a bad Portland team pretty fast.
So who else do we have at 6? We have one Cleveland, we have one Milwaukee.
And we have the Magic.
Chris, where were you at?
He got the Magic there.
Right.
I think it's. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what was your lack of belief in Orlando lack of belief? Yeah, in Orlando again.
I don't think it's even lack of belief in Orlando. I think it's just from a talent perspective. I think that there's 5 teams that stack up better against them. Like, I think this season I would honestly have more. Well, obviously, I'd have more confidence in them than I did last year. As a team that can actually contend in the playoffs. I just don't know if I feel strong enough about the roster itself when you stack it up against those, like you said, the juggernauts of the East. So that's where I'm at with them. I think they're another big offseason away from becoming a real contender. I like Paolo. I wouldn't be shocked if he does take a massive step forward this year, and obviously that would change things. So I could see them finishing a lot higher than 6, but at this moment, I'm not ready to put them up there with those guys yet.
What about y'all's 5 seeds? I know I had Orlando. I think Brady already gave us
the Pacers.
his.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where I have Milwaukee.
Okay.
Interesting.
And you have Milwaukee higher?
Yeah, I have them at 4.
Okay.
So not that much higher.
Not far off. For just that I don't see them as talented currently as Philly, New York, and Boston, but that I think there is a world where Dame can be at least close to what he was in Portland, and they could possibly even be the best team in the East. Or I put their floor as a 6 seed as well, because there is also just the chance that they implode. I just see a higher chance of them becoming a real threat again than them not.
Yeah, it's a very rangy team this year, and like obviously the floor is not that low because you do have Giannis and Dame, and barring any season-ending injuries, like I mean, even if Dame goes out for the whole year, you still have Giannis.
It's a Giannis bet. Yeah, having Giannis is just you should be a
right.
Should be a
so
contender.
Like the floor is high, but after what we witnessed last season, like you said, Barton, it wouldn't be shocking if we just saw them implode again.
They're also slow. I feel like they're slow.
The team. Yeah, and it's like it's an old team, it's an old roster, so I don't know. It's tough for me at least to put this team up in the top 3 like we were at the beginning of last year.
I get that. One quick thing on the Magic. I do like the Caldwell Pope signing. I didn't forget that in the
You love
rankings.
KCP, don't you?
I do love KCP, but it still doesn't affect the point guard situation. But I guess if Anthony Black or Suggs steps up, there that fills in that spot right there. All right, let's go to 4. Where I already said I got Cleveland. I almost said the Browns, but the Cavaliers.
It would not be a 4.
No, 32.
Who you got, Chris?
At 4, I have the Pacers. I guess I'm a little bit higher on them than you guys are. Although, as we were talking about it, what I started to think about was comparing them to the Hawks team that made the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years ago. They beat the Sixers.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a fair comparison because I like Halliburton more than I like Trae Young, and I think they have better pieces around him. I just don't know if it's like I don't know how big of a step forward this team can take. Like I feel like that was probably the ceiling that we saw last year with this current iteration.
But the difference from that year's Hawks is that they at least have a second star.
Yeah.
And whether that's
Right,
whether Siakam declines and Mathurin steps up or it just remains Siakam, like they have a better team. And they there is a world where, we just get to the Tyrese that we knew from the beginning of the season and he's fun and free again while Siakam compliments him well. There is that chance that they just needed games to figure it out. Like
Mhm.
I do really like putting them that high. I do because I think they would be really fun if they played that brand of basketball. I just didn't see it as likely as some of these other scenarios, but I think they really could be that good.
We always forget they got.
And I think I honestly, what? Sorry, go ahead.
No, mine's stupid. Go ahead.
I think I like their regular season ceiling much better than I like the Bucks.
Yeah.
Like I think there's less volatility there, which is why I have them ahead.
I'd agree there. I was just gonna say they also got Johnny Furphy, so you can't forget about that.
Who?
So do we have the
Johnny
same
Furphy
3,
kid,
2,
the
and
rookie
1?
from I don't even remember where he's from. Kansas, I think. He's got a stupid name. Sorry, I told you it was stupid.
I thought you were just beating yourself up for no reason.
No, it was stupid. it was dumb. Aaron, who do you got at the 4?
I got Milwaukee, as I
Okay.
said.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think we might have the same 3-2-1 if I had to guess.
Yeah, I
We
mean, I got
definitely
the
have
Knicks at
same
3.
teams.
We got the same
Okay.
team.
I have
Wow.
the Sixers
I actually
at 3.
don't. I would love. Now this is where we need to debate because I got Philly, New York, Boston. And I
Yeah,
don't think
Philly, New
I
York,
what I-
Boston. Jesus.
dude, the Knicks are Iron
Wait.
Man.
So you got number 1 Philly, number
Philly, New
2.
York, Boston.
No. Backwards.
Oh,
two,
Like,
one.
okay.
okay,
All right,
3
that's why I
Philly,
was so
Okay.
confused. All
3
right.
Philly, 2 New York, 1 Boston.
All right. Now
That's
we're
what I have.
all right. I have the opposite. I have all right. So then I'll talk about the Knicks versus Philly, I guess. I don't. They need a backup center. I like the Knicks roster a lot. I think they're gonna have a great regular season. I think they're gonna be.
We'll figure it out.
I
That's
have them at the,
nitpicky. That's so nitpicky.
They're the
I have-
Knicks. They'll
I have them
figure
at
it
the
out.
3 seed. Well, how nitpicky do you want me to get here? It's the 3 versus
You put the Sixers
I'm
ahead
just
of them.
saying, if like personally, I don't see how you can depend on both Joel Embiid and Paul George being healthy enough to win them more games in the regular season than the Iron Men Knicks.
You know
Like
why?
they don't get hurt, and when they do, they find another dude. He might just be a New York
Those
City
dudes aren't
fool
coming this year,
who
Barton.
pops up and is a beast.
Those dudes are Landry Shamet and Campaign. They're not happening this year. It's not happening. Mitchell Robinson's already out until January, and they say
And-
January. He's not coming back till fucking February, March even.
Brady, I got something big for you too, and I can't take credit for it. Drew, run back what you just said.
Also that Joel Embiid will not be playing back-to-back games. So, like, if there's 2 days, 2 games, he will not be playing in the second game.
The whole season.
Yeah.
The whole season. He said it.
All right,
I saw that same-
for his injuries.
all right. That's all right. That's a good point. To put
That
him at the 3.
matters.
It does matter. It does matter. That'll be a good point to put him at the 3. I like this Knicks team. We're picking through needles here, needles in a haystack for criticisms here. But I need to see them have a backup center here, and they won't have it for a little bit. I want to see how Karl-Anthony Towns works with this team. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him being in New York, him coming in. The pressure's off Miles Bridges at this point. He's kind of an understatement in this offseason because of how much you were still muted, Barton. I don't know what you said.
I said McCall.
Macau Bridges, sorry.
Had to clarify. It's my boy RTB.
Did I say
Like,
Miles?
yeah,
Did I accidentally say
listen.
Miles?
Your boy is tough.
Yeah.
Calling him your boy is a tough
That
look.
is a tough look. You should see our boy, his boy Caleb,
Dude,
our boy
listen,
Caleb
listen.
Morris. That's his boy.
RTBMB.
Oh,
Like,
dog shout
I
out.
can't. I'm here to talk
Yes.
basketball. I'm
That's
here to talk
incredible.
basketball. That's it.
All right, Barton. Well, what I'm saying is when Campaign and Landry Shamet are out on the floor, that is where the Sixers will pick up wins over the Knicks. That's what I'm rocking with here. I like Philly's
I'm gonna
roster a
use that
lot.
line to start a campaign edit.
You're gonna start a campaign edit.
He's nice. Him and Landry Shamet are gonna prove you wrong this year.
I hope they do. I really hope they do.
Fuck Brady.
All right, well, let's see who's
Everyone
playing.
with
So who's going to be
Boston.
playing these center minutes for the Sixers when Embiid's not playing in their back-to-back? That's
Drummond.
Drummond. That's a fine center. Get Drummond and Paul George out there. It's a whole new team.
Why are you so
we gonna
focused
call,
on like the backup center position?
Well,
this is how
now I've heard that.
who's-
Now I
who's
heard that
doing-
he's going to be out for back-to-back games. So I think that matters.
And so does your scheme just like for those games? Does your scheme just become Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey are your Aura boys, and Paul George has his 25 to 32?
Tyrese Maxey
and
is more than an aura boy in all fairness.
Tyrese Maxey's good. Let's not pretend like
No,
he's
he
not
is.
good.
I'm not hating. I'm not hating. I'm
Okay.
just saying. Like, are you just saying that that's what the Sixers are going to do? They're just going to say, "Screw it." Embiid takes up 25% of our usage, even with these dudes, but we're just going to switch it up. When he's out, it's going to be the Aura Boys backcourt and Paul George, and they're going to win us those games. And if that's what you're saying, I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but
Have a
I
little
don't
faith in
love
Nick
it either.
Nurse. Have a little faith in Nick Nurse. Come on.
I guess.
And look, I didn't know about this back-to-back thing. I'm gonna fact check you right now.
Yeah, it's on SportsCenter and Bleacher Report.
I trust. I'm just I would like to. But so that does. I will say that affects my rank. He says he doubts he'll ever play in back-to-back games again.
Chris, do you also have the Knicks over the Sixers?
I do, yeah.
I'll switch them for
You're
you
so-
guys. How about
like-
this? How about this? Because I will switch him on this perspective as well because Embiid also said he's going to do everything in his power to focus on the playoffs this season and not focus on the regular season. So that being said, maybe the Knicks do take the 2 seed. I'll switch them for you guys, or maybe just.
Oh,
for Barton.
okay.
No, it's
That
just
was an
like their
argument.
quotes internally are begging for us basketball fans that are doing this right here to pump the brakes on the Sixers. They're like,
Yeah, I get what
they're
you're
like,
saying.
hey, don't overestimate us because we're not going to be playing. Like, just letting y'all know. Like that's
What they
that's
should be
that's
doing,
what they're
too.
telling us.
No, and I think it's a
Stanford
smart
experts.
move.
Lower
As
the
Chris said.
expectations. That's what they're saying.
I think as Chris is saying, it's a smart move though. I think they need
Mhm.
to focus on the postseason. This is the team.
Because the Knicks expectations are sky high.
Yes, and it's funny too. The Knicks fans care way more about if they get the 2 seed than the 3 seed than if the Sixers fans just make the playoffs with a healthy team. Sixers fans
don't
could
care,
make they could be the 6 seed, and as long as Embiid's healthy.
Once they're in the playoffs,
Yeah.
they just have to win. It really does not matter.
But I like the
Yeah, I
depth.
feel
on
like
this
that
season.
wraps us up for the East.
Yeah, Boston at
yeah.
1, right? Celtics at 1.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I-
that team.
Couldn't think of anything funny to say.
Yeah.
That team. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
Boston
mean-
Celtics.
There's really not much to say, honestly.
If we're gonna give them a real talk, I have their floor at a 3 seed in only a world where one of the key pieces outside of, and I'm not talking about Porzingis and Holiday. I'm talking about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. If they like miss like half the season, knock on wood, like that's the only way that I see them not getting the 1 seed. I don't see one of these teams being a better regular season or postseason team than them. I just have their floor as that just in that case
Yeah.
alone, essentially. Then sure, maybe.
Yeah,
And if Porzingis does miss a lot of time, that could hurt them. Not that much in the regular season though.
Agree. I 1000% agree. I of course have him at 1. I expect a very low, same thing as I did last year, Chris, with the NBA updates. It's just going to be well, we're still doing good here.
Yeah, not much to say.
And
You'll probably
hopefully,
complain about how they look in the fourth quarter.
yeah, exactly.
in
I'll
close
complain
games.
about how they look
That
in
was
close
how we
games,
did last year.
and there'll be a couple Tatum moments that I don't like. Be a couple weird quotes. There's definitely gonna be some weird quotes, but
Yeah.
it'll be hopefully this run of the mill as last year, and earning our way to the top. But anyways, let's go to the West. Let's get these lower. Let's stop spending our time on these lower teams. Who's the West?
Yeah, we got to burn through these quick.
15. Do we all
First,
have the
hard,
Blazers? We all have the Blazers
Yes.
at 15.
Let me make sure. Yes.
All right.
I have their ceilings
Trailblazers.
at 12 seed.
Trailblazers are a
Top.
jumbled mess of
12
rookie
would be
draft
shocking.
picks. They are talk about a team that has just too many players. The Portland Trailblazers has way too many players, and none of them really fit together. You want to see something from Scoot this year. You want to see something from Klingon. Jeremy
His
Grant.
personality is uninspiring.
Klingon's personality.
No, Scoot. He pulled up he looked high in the press conference. In media day. Scoot
Probably
is
was.
uninspiring.
He's in Portland. Of course he was. Yeah, this team's rough. DeAndre Ayton is still on this team. Anthony Simons is still on this team. Matisse Thybulle is on this team. Denny, local legend, Wizards legend, he should be fun on this team. But
He's not fun.
oh, he's fun. Don't be bitter. He's fun.
I'm not bitter.
He's
I've
the
watched him
Jewish
for 4
prince.
years.
He's
He's
got to
not
be
fun.
fun.
It's not fun.
Why do they have 3 starting caliber centers?
And they have 3 starting point guards that are all rookies, basically. I don't know.
Who knows
man.
what's going on over
This
there?
team is
Next.
rough. Yeah, next. All right. Jazz at 14.
Yep.
The West
that's also where I have them.
West is deep.
It is. Yeah.
This was hard because like the Jazz I like the Jazz. I've always liked the Jazz. They always start out well. They always have a fun start to the season and then they blow it up. I think it's gonna be the same thing. They'll be like the 7th seed or maybe even like the 4th seed halfway through the season. We'll all be like, oh, what's going on here? And then there'll be a bunch of trade rumors. None of them will get traded, and then they'll all get benched for tanking purposes.
Yep. I think
That's
there's a
great.
world where they finish in the 8th seed. If Keontae George becomes what I believe he can become, if Larry Markkinen just puts up another all-star season, like there's a world where they can make the play-in.
Yeah, 100%.
But 14, more than likely, possibly 15th. They
Alright.
could trade it all. They could burn it down.
100%.
Never know.
This is where it gets fun. Number 13, I have the Los Angeles Clippers. I think the Clippers suck, and I don't think Kawhi is going to be playing all that much. And if Kawhi's not out there, they're a jumbled mess. Another team that is like a little deep, but they have like a lot of guys that don't really fit together. I don't know. There might there's definitely James Harden could turn back the clock and become James Harden again. But does anyone really want to see that? And I don't know. I like all the teams above them more. I don't. That's really what I had them here.
I mean, I only have them one spot higher,
Okay.
but it's so hard to rank them this low. Like when you just read the names on paper, and
Yeah.
it is the testament to the West that and we'll probably see this a couple times in this conference, that just reading names on paper doesn't get you in the top 5 anymore.
Yeah.
And we can't bank on either of those guys to have healthy seasons.
Yeah.
Like remotely healthy seasons. So, yeah.
I had them at 10. They're my biggest range in the West. I have their ceiling as a 4 seed. If Kawhi plays the whole season, or not even the whole season, but most of the season, we know what he can do, but it's seeming further and further out of reach. I have them making the play-in just because they have a little decent little collection of talent, I guess. But I have their floor as 14, so not too far off from where you put them, Brady. My 13 was the San Antonio Spurs, but
That's what I have as well.
Oh, come on, guys. Have some fun.
I
Have some
love what, like,
joy.
there's still not enough there.
No,
I
I
agree.
know, but I want to believe so badly. I have him at the
Same.
10
I
seed.
I considered it, but you look at the teams and it's like, how many teams can you actually put them above?
I know. You need a big jump from a lot of these guys.
That's why I'm saying it's possible that they could get even a 5 seed, but it's just so unlikely. Like Wemby would need to start putting up 25, 26 a game. Castle would need to be at least solid. Sohan would need to have a decent jumper.
I mean, they got
So much
Harrison
has to happen.
Barnes. They got Trey Jones. They got some vets. They got Chris Paul back. I mean, now, not back.
He's gonna miss half the year.
Chris Paul.
Dude,
Yeah, he always does.
Yeah.
but
that's
yeah,
true.
he will.
He's
Um,
40.
Yeah, that's true. And I want to believe. I like Stephen Castle. I think he'll be good, but he needs to take a jump within a couple years. He won't take a jump this year. Keldon Johnson needs to take a jump. This team's gonna be good. I have him as a 10 seed. I can definitely see them as the 13 seed. I wanted to believe. I wanted to have fun. So that's why I have him at the 10 seed.
Anybody ready for 12? I got Golden State. I'll tell you all that.
Okay. I had Golden State at 11. I had the Pelicans at 12.
What?
I know. And it's simply because something always goes wrong with the Pelicans.
Fair.
There's just like
There, but 12 seems so far down there. I
I
had the
know.
Clippers at 12, by the way. That was alluded to already, but go ahead.
I see it more likely that Zion has like an MVP level season than they like suck. Personally,
I
I
hope
know I've
so.
said that about two Duke bigs now, but y'all can see where my biases are. But I see that as more likely. I see them being closer to a contender than a team that misses the playoffs.
Look, I think on paper, as we were saying with the other teams, that there's a lot of guys on this team. They have a lot of depth. They have a lot of guys that I like. It's just there's something that it's either Ingram's never right at the same time as Zion, or something's messing it up. Dejounte Murray is in there. I think that should help a lot. Hopefully CJ McCollum goes to the bench, which I think he alluded to that he wanted to. I think that's the best move for this team. I love Herb Jones. I love Trey Murphy. I love Jordan Hawkins, but just know something is going to go wrong with this team, and I know they're going to be disappointing. So that's where I'm at. Very sad. It's my odds. Yeah, it's like the opposite of my Spurs.
That's fair, yeah. It's a zero-sum game.
Yeah, and I can see Aaron's ceiling as them being a top 5 seed in the West. It was really hard for me to put them here, but I agree. Let's go with the Warriors here. Barton, you already alluded to them. I have them at the 11th.
Yeah, and I guess on San Antonio, like I just had them possibly finishing at 14. I just saw 13 as most realistic, and with Golden State, I just they're everybody's getting older besides Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, and
But they're still not playing.
yeah, and I just have too many problems with the investing in Jonathan Kuminga as a prominent second guy, because if it's not him, then who is it? I mean, I'm not gonna say that I believe in Buddy Hield to be that prominent second guy, and you don't necessarily need a prominent second guy, but I just don't think that you can ask Steph to dominate another regular season at 35 without somebody else at least having a significant usage to go to when he's getting doubled. Like that, you're essentially asking Steph to play a Luca role usage wise if you're gonna say, all right, buddy, you're our number 2 guy. Like I think they need to be able to lean on a second star, and I just don't believe in Kuminga enough to say that I think the Warriors are going to be anything other than a team that barely misses the play-in.
I'm trying to find the exact quote that he said, but Steph Curry had a quote when asked about where the team can be. He said, "We're gonna look at the roster midway through the season and see how we look. But I think there's a chance that we might be decent. I don't. That's not very inspiring to me, Steph
That
Curry.
doesn't sound very confident to me.
No. Doesn't seem like something you put on the poster boards when going into Golden State games. I like Terrence Jackson or Trance Jackson Davis. I think he's going to be.
Nice.
Hopefully, he starts in the center position. I think they'd be very detrimental if he doesn't. Draymond's out, but like, how do you play him with Draymond? Neither of them shoot. Wiggins has just been a shell of himself ever since that 2022 finals. I don't think we're getting that back. As Barton said, you're banking a lot on Buddy Hield, on D'Anthony Melton, Kevon Looney's still out there, and Kuminga and Moody just haven't been getting the playing time. Brandon Pozinski has taken all their playing time, which I guess is a good problem to have, but there's going to be some nasty lineups thrown at this team, and I don't like it.
Who else did you guys have at 12?
Here you talk about
I
mine.
had the Clippers at 12, which we hit on.
Okay.
Max.
I have if the Warriors are 10,
Okay.
I want to move on to 11 then.
Yeah, I had the
Sure.
Warriors at 11. So Barton, what do you got at 11?
At 11, I have Houston.
Ooh.
I have a ceiling as 6 seed, floor as 13. I hated it not having more parity. I just think it's gonna become cliche how many times we do this, but I just think with um I think the Lakers are gonna be better. I think the Pelicans are gonna be better. I think that Sacramento is gonna be better. I think that Phoenix got better. I think that Denver's the only team that didn't really necessarily get better, but they're already really, really good. I think Dallas got better. OKC, Minnesota all got better. I think that Houston got better, but they got marginally better. And I think that mostly it's the same core outside of Reed. And I don't think it's like, obviously, Reed's not a franchise changer out like game one. So I think that their ceiling is a 6, barely making the playoffs, not just play in. Because they can't. They're like, if we see Jalen Green play an entire season even possibly even better than he did for the last 20 or 30 games last season. If we see Fred VanVleet have another possible all-star level season, if we see Jabari Smith finally act like the number 3 pick that he was, like it's possible. It's very possible. I don't know. I got him at 11.
I had the Rockets all the way at 8. I like the Rockets team. I think that they have a lot of things to work through, though. They played better when Şengün was out there, and then they played worse when Şengün was out there with Jalen Green, and Jalen Green was cooking. So they got to figure out a rhythm on which one that they want to have go off at the right time. I think the future of Jabari Smith is him playing the center position. I think they have a lot of good vets on this team that they've had last year, another year with them, and a lot of draft picks that need to come together. They can't afford to be bad. It's their time to be good. They have a nice young core. I like them making the play-in tournament at 8.
Respect.
Chris, what'd you have at 11?
Oops. I had. Never mind. Okay, I thought I screwed up my list. I had the Lakers at 11.
Okay.
I just feel like this is a team that the conference is almost like leaving them behind.
Yeah.
And this way of running basketball operations that we've seen in this organization since LeBron got there, really, and obviously got them a ring. But I feel like at this point, like, we're a LeBron injury or an AD injury away from, like, this season could be a disaster. And given the injury history there and given LeBron's age, like, I know that he's the most incredible athlete that we've seen in our lives in terms of durability, but at some point that's going to catch up. And I think, like, the outside noise with Bronny there doesn't help. I don't know how I feel about JJ Redick. Like, I just think that there's so much here that could go wrong. And I think there's so many other teams that are taking steps towards the future, and this team is not.
I can see that. I can see that argument. I had the Lakers at 9, so not too far away, but I had them making the play-in tournament. I want to trust a LeBron and AD team. We just saw them in the Olympics dominate. I want to see them. I want them to be healthy. That is definitely a big if on this team. If either one of them are out, it's going to be a completely different looking team. Um, they got a little bit more depth than they normally have with these LeBron teams. Um, they're but there's still a lot of streaky players they're going to have to rely on. They're still going to have to rely on D'Angelo Russell. They're still going to have to rely on. Hopefully, they get something out of Gabe Vincent this year. Cam Reddish is still on this team. Freaking Jackson Hayes is still on this team. There's a couple question marks in Max Christie, in Dalton Connect, if they can translate into the NBA finally, and even Bronny if he can play minutes and play into the NBA. It's an interesting team. I don't know. I think you're right, Chris. I think a lot of teams are just getting better with them, and they are kind of staying the same. And it hasn't worked out the past 3 years. Everyone always has this hope in the off season, and there's good reason for it. But I think that they're fighting for the play-in yet again.
Yeah. I mainly agree with everything you guys said. But I do have them at 8. And why I have them at 8? I have their floor is close to where Chris had them at a 12. But I have them at 8 and even a possibility to where they could end up a top 3 seed. I have their ceiling as a 3. Why I have I originally actually had them at 10 until I started watching them in the preseason. And I've been as Brady knows, I'm a big JJ Redick guy. Obviously, all Duke fans are, but I loved his podcast. I paid a lot of attention to this hire because obviously you don't make the hire as a screw it. He's a former player. You make the hire as a screw it. He was a former player, and he could be a guy that if he implements his basketball mind into his schemes, it could really work. And that's what the hope was for him all along, right? And then I remembered a quote that he said, I think it was the week he got hired, talking about using Anthony Davis much more like a point forward role
Mm-hmm.
and have him taking up more usage and letting LeBron play more off ball so that when the final 5 minutes of the game comes around, that the alpha LeBron is still there, kind of similarly to how we watched in Team USA. And, I was like, well, I just don't see how Anthony Davis is going to be running that. And there was some really, really interesting top screen action with Anthony Davis being able to step up on the top of the key after a guard is coming around from really either corner. And there was just the cuts where these guys would go to the blocks and either just go baseline, step back out, and you have AD who is actually the one finding them. I know it's only a few little 3-minute stretches I'm getting giddy about here, but I liked it. It felt like that Reddick at least unlocked a part of it, and
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I think that this team right now is like if that experience will be able to just click to what we all want it to be as LeBron supporters in his dire age, then I think that team at the 8 spot could really happen. I think there's also a world that they could be even better than that. I think that the storybook finish is not off the table. I don't think. I
I'd
think
agree
there
there.
is a higher chance of them being terrible than that happening. But I think if that brand of basketball is the one that's played, then obviously, like Chris said, especially the 80 injury risk becomes even more of a concern in one perspective. But in the other perspective, LeBron's injury concern almost diminishes. And you like that a lot. So I don't know. If you have Austin able to put up 18, 19 a game, LeBron able to put up 23 and 8 and 6, I think you have a recipe for a team that actually, in D'Lo being consistent, you have a team that could be pretty good.
I'd
So
agree there.
I don't know. I do not have them that low.
All right, what are we on? 10?
10. Yep.
Okay.
And I had the Clippers, so
I had the Spurs, which we talked about.
Brady, I don't think
And
you
I
gave your 11.
11 was the Warriors.
Facts. Oh, facts.
Chris, who you have at 10?
had the Warriors at 10.
Okay, so we got all
I
those
just like
covered.
Steph more than LeBron.
9, I had the Lakers.
Okay.
So we talked about them.
I had the Rockets at 9.
I got a new one for us.
All right, what we got?
Roll the Memphis Grizzlies.
No,
Oh, okay.
not the
And
Grizzlies.
I had the Grizzlies a lot higher than that.
yep,
So
I think we're betting on too much that's uncertain. Um, what's Ja's impact in this? The landscape of the league has changed a good amount since Ja Morant was in MVP conversations. What happens when how does he work with Marcus Smart? What is your starting lineup Smart, Ja, Bain, Jaren, and Edie? And if so, how mobile is Edie? And how effective is he year one? And I just have so many questions. And the depth, I mean, the depth would be better if you had, and I say this seriously, the depth would be better if you had healthy GG year one. But you don't. You don't have health you don't have like out the gate, not
yeah,
year
he's
one.
gonna be injured until
Like
I think December.
he's gonna miss a lot of time. And I think that this team just isn't very deep to where if these question marks don't solve themselves fast and they aren't that Memphis regular season juggernaut that they usually are with Ja, I don't see them being able to like have a season turnaround when they figure things out. I think that they might be like a Miami Heat play-in kind of story, possibly. I don't see it, man. I don't.
I see the
And I want
concerns.
to. It'd be sick. It'd be so cool.
Yeah,
But I just don't.
I see the concerns. I had them at a huge jump when if we were gonna do this last Wednesday, I would have had them at 2. And that was because I thought Ja was gonna. I loved the roster. I thought Gigi Jackson was gonna be healthy to start, so I like their depth in there. So I had to throw Gigi that there. I have them though at the 6th seed still. I think
That's what I had.
I think they're still a good regular season team. I am concerned. Ja's like already getting injured in the preseason, so that does concern me. There is a lot of questions of this team. How is this team going to look with the new additions? There's no more Steven Adams to clean up all the rebounding mistakes that Jaren Jackson Jr. has made. Is he going to be the starting center, or is it going to be Zach Edey? As Aaron said, how mobile is Zach Edey going to be in the NBA? I think this team's still going to be good though. I still have some faith in the players that they have. I like Brandon Clark. I like Luke Kennard. I like Desmond Bain. Marcus Smart's in the mix. There's some good guys on this team. They just need to stay healthy, and there's a lot of bad health bets on this team though, which is what concerns me.
It can't be worse though than it's been. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like even if this team deals with injuries throughout the season, I just think the ceiling is so high.
I'd agree there. That's where I'm seeing it. So let's keep this train moving. I have the Rockets at the 8th seed.
What about nines? I didn't hear y'all's nines.
Oh, I had Lakers at 9.
Nines, I had the Rockets.
Oh, facts. All right, keep going then. Yeah.
Then I got the Rockets at 8.
I have the Kings at 8.
Okay, we got a new one.
I have the Lakers at 8.
All right,
Let's talk Kings.
Yeah.
I got them at 6.
I have the Kings
Yeah,
at
6.
7. So right above where you have them at. Still not a lot of defense on this team. I think Devin Carter, shout out former South Carolina player. He is going to be a super old rookie. I think that he's going to come in and make an impact on their defense immensely. I just don't think it's going to be enough. Say again? Yeah, I think he might be missing time. I read your lips. Yeah, I think he will be missing some time. But whenever he does play, I think he will affect that defense tremendously. Their roster is just kind of run it back now with DeMar DeRozan, and this was a team that needed a lot of defensive help, and DeMar DeRozan does not help that defense at all. I think they're going to be a fun team. I think they're going to be able to move the ball a lot of threes on this team, but I have them at the 7th, so I think they're right in there.
That's kind of where I'm at with this team. Like DeMar just doesn't do it for me. I don't think that was the move that they need to make to put themselves up with the real contenders in the West.
You talk about playing king. That guy loves playing.
Seriously. So yeah, I think I didn't want to put him higher than like any of these other teams where I don't think the talent matches up. Like they're gonna be fun again. Like that's the Kings that we've gotten used to. I just don't think it's a team that takes a real step forward.
Agreed.
I think their additions make them get to at least where they were at when they made their inspiring playoff run of one series. And that's why I had them at 6. Um, I think that yeah, I think that they will be fun, but I think at the same time, like they got marginally better enough to where I say I think they'll be back at a 6. And another a fun report that I saw today could just be could just be smoke for no reason, or could be meant for people to get more excited about the Kings. De'Aaron Fox reportedly turned down an $165 million extension this past summer in hopes of a $345 million deal if he makes the All NBA team.
Oh,
Any of the three. So who knows? Maybe, but we might be getting a locked in Fox in year 3 of this Kings possible window question mark.
I like that. I like that.
But
Get some fire
yeah,
under
that's
him.
why I had
I,
them
I
high.
do like that.
Yeah.
That's some juice right there.
Yeah, contract year.
Hmm
All right.
But yeah, and I had the Lakers. Brady, who'd you have?
Are we at 7 or 8? 8
8.
Rockets.
Yeah, facts. 7.
7. I had the Kings.
Facts.
Chris.
I have the Suns at 7.
Oh.
Oh,
I am just not. I'm out on this organization. I'm out.
They sucked me back in. I'm a sucker.
They sucked you back in.
I'm a real sucker.
Yeah, they do that.
Silas, they got a point guard.
That's why they sucked me in. They got a point guard.
Is it tie? Is
Yeah, they got Tyus.
League leader in assist to turnover ratio since a rookie.
that a real stat?
Hmm
I
What-
mean, yeah.
Where I see Chris's take here is the use of Nurkic, elephant in the room here. They need that guy to shoot threes. I don't know if he will shoot threes. I think they're gonna try to make him shoot threes, and I don't know if that's gonna work out. And I guess really besides that, that's kind of really the main spot I don't like. But of course, you got Kevin Durant, you got Bradley Beal, you got Devin Booker. Now, none of them have to play the point guard role. It will be interesting to see Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and Tyus Jones all playing in the same backcourt. That'll be interesting defensively. They got Bol. I don't know. I like the Suns team. But I kind of see where you're going here, Chris.
I'm sure that they will not be the 7th seed in the West. Like they're way too talented for that. I think this was almost like a spite pick. I just think there were so many flaws last year that exposed themselves in the regular season, and especially in the playoffs. Depth is still not there. I still don't think they're a very good team defensively. Kevin Durant is another year older.
Yeah.
Not a Bradley Beal guy. The only guy I like on the team is Booker. So maybe it was unfair to put them this low, but I let this serve as my indictment on this team.
Yeah, I get that, and I think that's respectable. It's definitely makes sense. I could definitely see them falling. I think there's a world where they could fall to the 7th seed. Definitely.
Yep.
For sure. I had the Pels, and I'll just give y'all like my reason for why is just I see Zion having an MVP caliber season, like statistically, objectively, maybe even not quite that, but like probably like all NBA second team level season. But Brandon Ingram has either Brandon Ingram or DeJounte Murray have phantom stuff going on that is typical for a Brandon Ingram but it could apply to a DeJounte Murray too. And they just like Zion just muscles them 45 wins, or maybe he misses a few games, but He carries the majority of the load for them to get to around that mark. That's why I have them at the 7. Like I genuinely think that the 7 seed in the West is going to be a team that's going to win somewhere between 45 to 47 games. Like a
Yeah.
very good team.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good
Um,
team.
I like
yeah.
that justification. I like that a lot. That play.
Yeah,
I
number
actually have the
6.
Pelicans even higher.
Oh, sorry. Oh, shoot. Sorry.
Would
You
you
want
want
me
me
to
to wait
hire?
or?
Yeah, no, say him. We
Yeah.
already kind of talked about him.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have him at
yeah.
5.
Okay.
I think that the Pelicans are a sleeping giant,
All right.
and I like this is
I
definitely
love it.
betting on them because it kind of goes against like the way that I do a lot of my rankings, which is I rank them how I've seen them before.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen a Pelicans team this good before. Just think that like at some point all the pieces are going to fall into place, and I think DeJounte Murray's a good fit. Like if you get a healthy season from Zion, I think this team is really really good.
Yeah, I couldn't see like that's what concerns me is just like if we get a healthy Zion, if we get Brandon Ingram,
It's a big if,
that's a
but
big
I also
plus.
think that they're deep. Like they're deep enough to at least tread water without him.
Yeah, I would hope so. I had them. I did like I wanted to put them so much higher than I had them. I just can't. I
Yeah,
can't.
you kind of did him dirty.
Yeah, I did kind of do them dirty, but I can't bet on that health. And I'm not gonna do it.
That's fair.
What are we at? 6.
6. Yep.
All right, I had Memphis, which we just discussed. So
Chris?
I also had Memphis. Right, we did talk about that.
5. I had
Uh,
Phoenix.
5, I have the Suns as well.
And I had the Pelicans.
Perfect.
All right,
Perfect.
perfect. 4. This is where it gets hit tricky because I kind of don't like the Nuggets, but I have
I
the
had the
Nuggets.
Nuggets at 4 as well.
Same.
Hey, first one we
Look at
all
us.
agreed. Look at that. Besides
I
Portland,
like.
They're
I
the
don't
best in the
understand.
West.
I don't understand what they're doing. Like since they won that title, it's almost like they actively don't want to win another one.
yeah, they're like cutting all the vets that they needed to win the title.
I think it's there's no like cohesion between the front office and the players, coaching staff.
But I think there is the possibility that Russ is like plays a good role for them
I think Russ
and
plays a great role for them.
Christian Brown takes a solid leap and you have a
I
team
would
where
love
you're like,
that.
oh, this is a new Nuggets, but it's a fun Nuggets.
See,
Like
but you know what
even
the
more
issue
fun.
with that is though, is that there's too many of those guys. There's Hunter Tyson, there's Peyton Watson, there's PJ Hall, there's Deron Holmes that they just drafted, Zeke Naji, who people aren't giving up on.
So one or two of them will be solid, and that's
But that's
really
what they
all
banked on
you
last
need.
year, and they didn't get those guys. They were missing the Jeff Greens of the world. What's
Most
his?
of them didn't get an opportunity though,
That's true.
like for consistent time. Like maybe I'm just saying the
No, I
world
agree with you.
exists. We agree, but I just think that world does exist.
Look, I think there's I mean as we've said, not as we've said, but they're a championship team. There's the 3 main guys are still on this championship roster. I think we need a big step up from Jamal Murray though. When the rules came in that you could do some hand checks and you could do some defensive things again. Jamal Murray took a big step down, and I think that's going to be. And he was terrible in the FIBA Olympics. So if this is more of like FIBA rules than NBA rules that have been in the previous past, then we're going to see a step down from Jamal Murray, and this team cannot afford a step down from Jamal Murray. So that's what concerns me about this team.
3?
All right, 3 at the Dallas Mavericks.
Wow, look
I
at
also had
us.
the Mavericks. This is one that I've been flip flopping on though. Is 2 and 3.
So So I'm guessing we all have the Wolves at 2.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah. So all right, cool. So we
They're
have
top
2.
four.
We have
Yeah,
1,
top
2,
four
3 all
one.
the same. OKC,
So
Wolves, Mavericks.
the Mavs and Wolves is like I couldn't make up my mind which team I wanted where, and the only reason I ended up putting the Wolves ahead is because I think it's a team that lasts longer in like durability wise. I think they're a lot stronger.
Yeah.
And I think it's a team that plays great team defense that we saw last year. That's going to lead them to a lot of wins, especially in like at least in the regular season. I was never a big cat guy. I think that's probably been well documented on here. I think you get even another step forward from Ant. Um, I guess we were supposed to be talking about the Mavs, but that's why I put the Wolves at 2.
No, let's stick on that for a minute because we never did a pod for it was too deep in the football season. We didn't do a pod for the Timberwolves trade with Karl Anthony Towns. So they got Julius Randle and they got who's the white guy?
DiVincenzo, right?
Yeah. DiVincenzo already starting beef with the Knicks in the preseason game. He looks at him yesterday. He looks at Thibodeau and he's like, "This is what happens when you run the show." I guess he's pissed that he's not part of the Nova Knicks anymore.
I think it was intended towards Rick Brunson.
Okay. That makes sense. But still,
Yeah.
beef towards the Knicks.
But
He's
yeah,
angry. He's fired up.
Newly high tensions.
Yeah, newly high tensions. I like that. I think that Anthony Edwards is going to feed off that. He's going to look at him and be like, those Knicks didn't want you. The Nova Knicks, they said they didn't need you. And I think that's going to motivate him a lot. I think that Julius Randle, who well documented on my perspective, not a big fan of, but always had that New York spotlight on him. Even when he was the savior of New York, quote unquote, he started this all. He was still getting ridiculed every game by every performance. He was putting up 19 points a game and still getting ridiculed on that Knicks team. Hell, he was putting up 24 a game and he was getting ridiculed on that Knicks team. So I think he's going to have a much calmer role in this Wolves team. I think their team's definitely interesting though. Like, what do you do with Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert and now Julius Randle? Who do you start out of the three? I'm guessing it's going to be Randle and you keep Naz on the bench.
Yep.
But I think this team it's got a lot of depth. They got a nice young rookie in Rob Dillingham that everyone's going to like. We're going to have Terrence Shannon Jr. minutes. I promise you.
Yes.
I know it's gross. Another guy that we just got to talk purely ball about. But he's an old rookie.
He won the case.
He did win the case. Dude. Yeah, he did win the case.
He's not a bad dude.
But,
Bridges.
But we'll have a stretch where it's like it'll be like the Gigi Jackson moment where it's like he scores like randomly 19 points a game or 15 points a game and we're like, oh, maybe he's got some rookie of the year hype and he never comes forward. But he'll have that moment. And Jaden McDaniels is still on this team. I like this team a lot. I guess we haven't talked about Dallas at all. So let's go to the 3 seed real quick. Dallas just coming off the NBA Finals. They got the big get up in Klay Thompson. I don't know how much that helps them. I think it helps them a good amount for corner threes, just to have another guy that Luka doesn't have to worry about missing the threes in the corner. But
was their biggest issue last year.
Yes, that is true. Just having a guy in the corner. So it does solve that major issue for them. I mean, a second year of Derek Lively Jr. They still have, what's his name? They have PJ Washington, and who's the guy that they got from the Wizards? He had Daniel Gafford had a great performance for them for their finals. I think this team's good. I don't see why they fall off. I just don't think they're as good as the Wolves.
I just think when it comes to Dallas, you also have to include guys that got at last year's deadline. And you also have to apply that to this year's finish and say they were a fringe play-in team and they were able to come through because these guys that they added on in PJ, in Gafford, and now you throw Clay into the mix, they'll be a better regular season team. Like, I don't think they'll be in that fringe playoff mark anymore. I think they'll be one of the consistent clear-cut contenders the whole year.
I agree. I think you see another step up from Luka. I think you see maybe this is the year with the MVP year that everyone's been talking about since he's been a rookie. But I think this team's locked in. But some of those teams, like it's not like the NFL where when you lose the Super Bowl, you have the Super Bowl hangover. I feel like losing the NBA Finals really just fires the team up and gets them ready to go. And I think they'll do the same for the Mavericks. All right, and I guess we're moving on to OKC. The
Giannis just shoved Josh Giddey.
what do you say?
Giannis just shoved Josh Giddey as we speak.
Oh, breaking news.
Breaking news.
Giannis is always getting beef with everyone. I love how he's starting with the Bulls. Like, come on, it's Giannis always loves beefing with the middling teams. But the most I was gonna say the most deep, but the deepest team in the NBA, the OKC Thunder. Everyone's predicted them to be the number 1 team in the regular season. It makes sense. They got Caruso and Hartenstein over the offseason, 2 pieces that they desperately needed. And I'm going right with the fray, and I'm thinking they're the 1 seed. I think they might even be better than the Celtics this year, not in the playoffs wise, but regular season wise. I think that they win a boatload of games.
Yep, I agree. I mean, pretty simple analysis. They were the 1 last year and got deeper.
Yeah.
You get they're also like the youngest team in the league. All those guys take another step forward.
Yep.
There's nothing not to like.
You're muted.
You're muted, Barton.
My fault. Do you guys want to do rapid fire? I throw out names for awards. If you guys disagree, we talk.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's end it there.
Go
So
for
you
it,
you
yeah.
got nothing on OKC though? You're just moving on?
I mean, no, I was gonna. I let you guys take that one because it's like I agree with Chris.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
very straightforward. I think that they're gonna be a 64 win team probably. Chet's gonna get better. Jalen Williams is gonna get better. SGA probably will be a little bit better. Like you just added on an all defensive first team point guard to add perimeter defense when you're playing the Minnesota Timberwolves in the playoffs, possibly, or the Dallas Mavericks, and you just added perimeter defense. I mean, like they're gonna be really good.
Yeah.
Like there's really nothing to argue with there. All right,
So yeah, let's throw out
Let's
some
start out-
awards, and we'll see if we agree or disagree.
let's go rookie of the year. I got Matis Bazelis.
All right, I like Bucelis. That requires the. Don't you think that requires the
don't hate
Bulls
it.
to win some games though?
Not necessarily. If they win 30, 32, and Matis is putting up 18, 19 a game, starts out the year putting up like shooting 34 from 3, but finishes the year shooting 41 overall and like 35 from 3 maybe at best. I mean, I feel like he could win it. I like his potential case.
I like that. The favorite right now
Don't
is
hate
still
that.
Zach Edey,
Especially if
right?
they ship guys away.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
it becomes Matis's team. Imagine, like come on.
Yeah, that's true. The
I don't hate Ron Holland.
oh, I don't mind that
Rookie of the
either.
year.
Yeah, I don't mind Ron Holland. They need so we didn't talk about this with Detroit. They need their witch
Awesome.
doctor to come in handy. The 3-point shooting coach.
I
That
forgot
everyone
that we
was,
talked about
yeah,
that.
that we were raving about over the offseason. And that
That's
should
my
help
number 2.
Ron Holland.
Yeah. I guess I would say like I'd say Reed has a chance,
gonna
but
say,
I just
no love
don't
for
think he'll get
Reed?
the opportunity. I just don't think he'll get the opportunity. I mean, who's he gonna start over?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like Ron Holland's guaranteed 25 at least minutes a game. Like Matis is guaranteed, maybe even close to 30. And I don't know. I like Matis. I think he's gonna have a solid year too.
So Edie is still the favorite at plus 400. I think I don't think it's
okay.
crazy, but I think it's pretty bad. I think just because of the national spotlight that will be on the Lakers, if Dalton Connect plays a role in this team, him at plus 1600 is a good bet.
That is. I agree.
Hate that. Not Bronny.
Not Bronny. No. Let's see what Bronny's odds are. It's gotta be Bronny.
They're
Um,
definitely like
plus
way lower than they should.
Plus 30,000. Ronnie James.
They should be plus a million. Plus 30,000 is pretty wild though.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Not for him, but just that there's a line set at plus 30,000.
Yeah, agreed. All right, fire off the next one.
6-man. Alex Caruso.
Is he going to be on the 6-man role?
Well, when you're looking at their lineup and you say SGA, Lou Dort, J Dub, Chet, Hartenstein. Like, I think so.
Yeah, the
I
favorite
mean, they
Malik
said
Monk
that they
right
want to
now.
play Chet at the 4,
Nas
and I
Reeves is
mean,
a
you're
good
not.
bet. He's gonna be coming off the bench.
That's true. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I
Caruso's
like
plus
Nas Reed if it's not
2,500.
Caruso.
I don't mind that at all for
Caruso
Caruso.
is.
Yeah, plus 2,500.
I,
Uh,
I like I like it. I like it.
I like this is just throw it out there. Benedict Mathurin if he comes off the bench,
True.
1,400. I don't mind that at all.
Another good one.
Why does Brogdon even have odds? That's crazy. There's not a lot of good odds here for sixth man of the year. Malik Monk is the favorite though at plus 600. He won it
I
last
could
year,
see
right?
it. Yeah, exactly.
All right, what's next?
No other thoughts. Depoy, Victor
Gotta be Wemby.
Wembanyama.
Yeah, it's gotta be Wemby.
What is the lineup?
I'm looking it up right now.
Right, I'll tell you the lines up.
Once it loads, Victor Wembanyama is minus 150. Then the second favorite is Chet Holmgren at plus 1,200. Rudy Gobert is plus 1,800.
That's funny.
Just because he's plus 1,800, I don't mind the Rudy Gobert.
Probably living. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, like plus 1,800 for Rudy Gobert. Bam Adebayo is plus 1,200. I don't hate that. He's always fighting for it. If they ever want to give Anthony Davis one, he's plus 3,000. And Giannis is plus 4,000. I don't hate really any of those, but I like Wemby. If they're going to be a good team, then he's going to be. He might win this award for the next 10 years.
Facts.
What else we
Coach
got?
of the year.
Coach of the year.
Yeah, Mark.
Coach of the year is always
Dig-
weird.
Mark Digginal.
Who does he even coach for?
The Thunder.
Oh, yeah, he won it last year, right?
That's how I assume to pronounce his last name. I need to figure that out before the season starts.
Thibodeau is the favorite at plus
I think it's
700.
Digginal.
Nick Nurse at plus
Who could've won
1,200.
last year? No.
No. Spoelstra at plus 1,600. He'll never win it. Where do they
I
have
think. Who's the Pelicans coach?
Pelicans coach? They have Willie Green at plus 2,200. JJ
Oh,
Redick
the
2,500. I don't hate that. JJ turns the team around.
No one would let his coach win coach of the year.
Dude, I'm telling you, he's
Take the-
just the Laker spotlight. And that matters, man. Just having it out there. They win some games.
I don't think they're gonna be that good though.
That's true. Ime Adoko is the second favorite at plus 800. All right.
Most improved.
Oh.
Brandon
This is
Miller.
always going to someone who doesn't deserve it. So it's probably going to go to like Wemby.
Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller.
I like it. But like
Thank
Tyrese Maxey,
you.
like the last past winners were Tyrese Maxey, Lowry Markkanen. I guess Lowry Markkanen deserved it because we didn't think that he was going to be good. But John Morant we knew was going to be good. We knew Tyrese Maxey was going to be good eventually. Julius Randle didn't deserve it. I could not. And I guess Brandon Ingram deserved it. But he also we thought was going to be good.
I don't hate Brandon Miller.
No, I don't hate Brandon Miller either. Wemby is the favorite at plus 700 or 750. Then it goes Mobley, Kuminga, Josh Giddey is the fourth favorite here.
How do they come up with the list of that list of guys?
I don't know.
I guess
Does
it's
he have
some
to get
rhythm
over
of like
there?
opportunity versus whatever expected.
I'm trying to find
performance.
where's Brandon Miller? Brandon's spelled with an I, right? Or no?
Miller
You're
spelled.
thinking
with
of,
an
There
I.
you
you're
go,
thinking
plus
of Pods.
8,000. Plus 8,000. That's not a bad bet at all.
Kudzinski.
I like that. All right. What's next?
MVP Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I
MVP,
want
okay.
it to be
I think
year.
this is the year.
I like Shea. I think that he was a little bit not robbed last year, but he definitely could have been in the conversation. I don't think Jokic gets it again. I don't think his team's gonna be good enough. I don't think Anthony Edwards is there yet. I don't think Tatum's ever gonna win it.
His team is too good.
Yeah, I think his team's too good. No matter how
Edwards
he plays.
could.
Edwards could. I don't think this year though. I think he could eventually, but not this year. Luka's at plus 380.
How old is he? 23?
Yeah, I think he's still like 23.
I could see Tatum winning MVP in or winning the 2026 MVP. And
Next year.
I put Luca as this season's MVP because um I think he's gonna average like this is gonna sound crazy. I genuinely think he's gonna average like a 35 or 36 point triple double. Like I think it's gonna happen. Like I mean he put up
That would put him
34
right there on top 5 player of all time. Right on the list.
bro,
That's what we said
he
last
put up
time.
34, 9, and 8 last year. Like
It's disgusting.
I think with more
And nobody
help.
cared. Everyone called him trash.
Exactly. I think with even more help, what is 2 more boards and 1 more assist per game?
Agree.
And when you look at it like that, I think that Tatum is still approaching his prime, like, genuinely. And I think when this year truly is the last year that the Celtics can keep both Holiday and Porzingis, and you look at the facts and see that by that season, Tatum's gonna have more weight on his shoulders if he's still gonna be the guy in Boston. I know it's a tandem, I get it, but if Tatum's gonna be the guy, that's what's gonna have to happen, and I think it's actually pretty realistic. Like, I really could see, like, that being what happens in a couple years. Tatum's more like, even more so the guy, and he, like, gets it after, like, scoring 31 a game, but I think this year, Luka's gonna put up, like, insane numbers, and he's gonna, like, run away with it.
I agree. I like Luca here. I like Luca or Shea. I think those are the two best bets. I don't really know
Yep.
who else would even compete. I don't mind. We were talking about Zion plus 9,000. Just throwing it out there.
8,000.
Yeah.
I love that.
Chris,
I don't think
before we go, let's introduce your dog, the wise dog, for us.
Yes, this is the wise dog. This is Maisie. Speaking of insane numbers, she poops like 6 times a day.
Crazy
About
stats.
33% in the apartment. So we're working to get those numbers down. Yeah, she's a handful, but she's fun.
She looks
Hey,
adorable.
Thank you. She says
shout
thank
out to her. Shout out to the wise dog.
you.
Hope we'll get him to get picks for us soon, or she. We'll get
Oh
her.
yeah,
to
she'll give picks.
Well, Barton, that does it. That was a hefty pod. Thank you for
Let's
coming
say,
along and doing this for
well,
us.
Brady, thank you for having me and letting me take up a sizable fraction of this episode.
Of course,
Absolutely.
we're happy to have
I
you here.
it truly is always such a great time, and you know what? This is gonna be a fun year.
It will be.
This
It
is
will
gonna
be
be
a
a
fun year in the
fun year.
NBA. It has been. To be fair, it has been a fun year in the NBA. I feel like besides, some of the offseason stuff can be boring, but the regular season of the NBA has been super interesting
It has been.
for like the nerds like us, Aaron, who just grind it out.
There's there's fun games to watch in January.
Oh yeah.
You might not believe it if you listen to the mainstream media, but there is.
Oh yeah.
It might be Pistons Magic, but it's gonna be a fun game.
And we'll be there.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you all for listening. Thanks again, Aaron, and we'll see everyone for football